Hi, this is Peter Cox from Sydney, Australia. The video you're about to watch is a generic training video for our global line of sponsorship. Over the last 10 years, my wife and I, Debbie, have used the Network 21 training program to expand our business not only in Australia but to around 20 countries globally, into countries such as Malaysia, South Africa, Slovenia, Croatia, India, the United Kingdom, Thailand, New Zealand, Poland, Greece, and the list goes on. I felt after 10 years of developing the business with the Network 21 training system, I felt that it was very important now that I put some of my thoughts on this video for those of you that are new, that want to understand how to duplicate this business in your own domestic market, but also to be able to expand your business internationally. When I look at the leadership that we have around the world today in countries like Malaysia with Diamond Direct, Simon Thompson and Diana Chu, Abel and Roshni Iskandar, new diamonds this month in Malaysia, Zul and Facha. I look at our Slovenian-Croatian business right now exploding with diamonds Dejan and Daria Zavenovic and Bogdan and Sisa Korozek qualifying diamond right now. I look at our Australian organisation, which over the last 13 years we have a team of loyal and dedicated leaders such as Emerald Direct's Rob and Judy Lucas, Phil and Bronwyn Payton, Michael and Joanne Spicer, and John and Christine Layton. And I felt after communicating with some of our key leaders, they felt that if I could put a English-speaking training video together, this video may have an impact in the living rooms on a one-on-one basis with new people that come into our line of sponsorship globally that really want to know some of the nitty-gritty about if they're a brand new person, what do they have to do to go out and build this business. And when I look at the lifestyle that Debbie and I have over the last, we've been able to achieve over the last 13 years, for the last 10 years I've been full-time in this industry. I was able to retire at 28 years of age. We work our own schedule. A lot of our dreams and goals are coming true now after 13 years, and I want to share some of the key principles that I believe you need to focus on if you want this business to work for you. And some of those principles I'm going to cover tonight are going to be on the dream, on the work ethic. We're going to talk about how to do a good follow-up and get people started. We're going to talk about some of the key system principles like edification, no cross-lining. If you want the freedom aspect of the business, you're going to need to know about how to build depths. It's very important also that you understand what the key core attributes are, which was designed by the founders of Network 21, Jim and Nancy Dornan, who have a 30-year track record in this business. Their business expands the globe, and we've just been able to partake in the system philosophies of Network 21 and learn some of these key principles, and as a result of that, we have the lifestyle that we have today. We are able to be full-time parents to a 5- and 7-year-old couple of boys. My wife and I work for ourselves. We run this business from home with very low overheads, and when you consider we saw this business in a little living room in Cronulla 13 years ago, to be able to take the business globally to over 20 countries is mind-blowing to say the least. And anybody that watches this video, the key principles I'm going to talk about tonight, there is no doubt in my mind that if you are dedicated, that you treat this as your own business, you're prepared to work, you're prepared to supply the dream, and you're prepared to go out and duplicate these principles, then one day your dreams are going to come true using this incredible vehicle following the Network 21 system. So I hope on behalf of my wife, Debbie, and our global leadership that you get something out of this video tonight and you make it count for you, and that it helps you grow your business. Thank you. For those of you that are watching this video for the very first time, I'm particularly talking to a brand new person that's just come into this incredible business. I remember 13 years ago when my wife and I first got exposed to this business, that we just wondered whether this business could really work for us and whether our dreams and goals could come true. I was working as a marketing manager, my wife was working in telecommunications. We had no idea of the income potential, the freedom, the lifestyle, and I'm going to cover 10 key principles tonight that I believe have made a big difference, not only in my life, but people we've associated with both in our own organisation and outside our organisation. And they're very simple principles that I believe you need to focus on, principles that you need to sell out to if you really want this business to work for you. And I'm going to use a flip chart, and from time to time I'll go to a whiteboard and draw some things out, and I hope that you get something out of this video that you're watching right now. And I'm just going to pour my heart and pour my passion into it, because I really believe in the principles I'm going to talk about tonight. And I never want to forget what it was like when we were brand new 13 years ago, just wondering whether this business could really work for us. What did we have to do to really make it work? Could we do it? Does the dream really happen? Do you really get freedom? Can I become one of those diamonds? Whatever. And 13 years down the track, I can say that everything that has happened in our life today is as a result of this business. We've got incredible mentors with Crown Ambassadors Jim and Nancy Dornan in Atlanta, Georgia there in North America, the founders of Network 21. Everything I'm going to talk about tonight I have not invented. I've just become a good student, focused on it, believed it, 100%, high expectancy, and duplicated it. And we just had the good fortune to mix one-on-one with some of the greatest leaders, some of the greatest human beings on this earth in this industry that have sowed some of these principles into us. And as a result of that, today, at 38 years of age, for the last 10 years, I've been a free man. I wake up in the morning free. I go to bed at night free. I work my own schedule, full-time parents, living on a golf course, and a lot of our dreams are now coming true. There are 10 principles I'll talk about tonight. Number one, I'm going to start with the dream. Number one, in Network 21 system, when you look at how the system is developed today, the first thing we talk about in the system is the dream, and that's a real funny word. Some people like using the word reason. I'd rather use the word dream, because 13 years ago when I started this business, I had no dreams, I had nightmares, but I got amongst some of the big guys in this industry that was certainly fulfilling some of their dreams and goals in life using this incredible vehicle. You must know what you want. End of story. If you want to make it in this business, you will not make it if you don't know what you want. And Debbie and I, for the last 13 years, and still today, continually massage the dream and keep working out what do we want, where do we want to be, and why are we still building this business today. We build it for the people, but we also want to build it for our own reasons as well. And it's very important that you identify what you want, because you work for yourself in this business. Nobody's going to make you build it. There's a very minimal capital outlay to get started in this type of industry. And the one common denominator that has taken this business to about 80 countries globally and billions of US dollars in turnover has been that we are one couple of many that knew what we wanted, and we focused on our dreams, and we went out there and we did something about it. The dream creates drive. You can always tell when someone's fired up in this business. It's not the tape, it's not the meeting, it's not the speaker. What should be creating the fire in the belly, creating the drive, is knowing what you want. And for 13 years, Debbie and I have never taken our eye off our dreams, off our goals. We've always known what we've wanted. We've written those dreams, written those goals down. And most people, when they go to work tomorrow, no one talks to them about what do they want, what are your dreams, what are your goals. Most people are just fearful that they're going to lose their job or go broke in their own business, and they're just happy to survive. And then people come into this industry, and for the first time they start hearing a lot about the dream. The dream creates action. That's what I've found. The ones that work this business, they work it because the dream creates action. It doesn't become a job. It doesn't become a chore. They have a high expectancy that this business can give them what they are looking for, whatever that may be in life. And, you know, you don't have to relate to my dreams and goals, but 13 years ago, I just wanted to play golf. That was a real burn for me. And today we live on a golf course. I wanted to see my wife asleep in the morning when I got up, that she wasn't waking up to an alarm clock at 6 o'clock, getting in the traffic and getting home at 6 or 8 o'clock at night. We didn't think about being full-time parents because we didn't have any children in those days. But today we do, and the greatest blessing that we have today, because of the action that we took 13 years ago, is that we wake up with our kids, we take our kids to school, we pick them up, we take them to football training, we take them to tennis, we take them to their tutoring lessons, we take them to their swimming lessons, and we are a family unit today. Treat this business seriously. If your dream is serious enough to you, it will definitely create action. And when people lose the dream in this business, they're finished. no one has built this business without that dream. You need to really know what you want and what's driving you right now. The business is built on emotion. This business is not built with logic, it's built with emotion. It's built with fire in the gut. It's built for people going out and chasing their dreams. It's not built because you're smart. You have to have some emotion in this business. If you're new looking at this video tonight, this is a pretty strange opening because, I mean, I can get into plenty of technique, but if you do not know what you want and you're not emotional about it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it, you're going to struggle in this business. And too many new people come into this business and they underestimate the power of the dream. They don't get it. Yeah, dream number one, yeah, I need to make a list. Yeah, I've got to invite someone. Yeah, I've got to get someone to a meeting. What you've got to constantly be working on is the dream, the emotion. What's going to make you go out there sharing this opportunity with people? You won't do it without passion. You won't do it without emotion. You can show as many marketing presentations as you like, talk to as many people as you like, but if you don't know what you want and what's driving you, and it's deep down in your gut, you will struggle, not only in this business, I believe you'll struggle in life. That's what I believe. It'll always come back to the dream and emotionalising it. You work for yourself. That's why you need a dream in this business. Most people wake up tomorrow morning, they have a boss. They don't need a dream to get up. If they don't turn up, they get fired. In this business, we work for ourselves. No one tells us what to do. The only thing that makes people create activity is knowing what they want and believing 100% with high expectancy that this business can give them what they want, working for themselves. And for the last 13 years, Debbie and I have never not believed this opportunity. It's never let us down, and we've always worked on what do we want, emotionalising that dream. And the dream creates a work ethic. When people are working this business consistently, they're working it because they know what they want. I've seen people lose the dream in this business, they're gone. They go from a very high work ethic to nothing very quickly. Don't underestimate the power of the dream and why it's number one in the system. Stay focused on that dream. Debbie and I have never taken our eye off our dreams, eyes off our goals. We write our goals down. We stick pictures, you know, in the back of our cupboard. I've just bought a new picture for my office, a Lamborghini Countach. I've stuck it there in front of my face. Brand spanking red. Always want something in front of me to keep reminding me why I'm building this business. It creates a work ethic. My dreams and my goals make me go into my office because at 38 years of age, I never have to work again. We live off residuals today. We have plenty of income, an incredible lifestyle. Whether we go to work or not is irrelevant. So what's going to make me work the business is I better to know what I want. What am I chasing? What am I fired up about? And that creates my work ethic. And the more successful you become in life, the more dangerous it becomes. That you can just sit back and, you know, enough's enough, and you lose that work ethic. And I will always talk about the dream in this business, because I believe 100% that without it, without the emotion, without the passion, without people knowing what they want, you can go out and show as many marketing presentations as you like, but if you don't know what you want, people aren't going to join you. There's a different look in a person's eye when they know what they want, they know where they're going, and they're sold out to their dreams and goals. Number two, I want to talk about the work ethic. This business takes work. We sit in a living room. Most of us didn't even want to go to that meeting that night when we saw the presentation, and then we start seeing the numbers and someone's presenting the marketing presentation to us, and we get thoughts through our minds. Things just go through our mind, and we start going through the what-ifs and the maybes, etc. Then we register into the business. Then we get more exposure to the bigger guys in the industry, and we see, man, check their lifestyle out. Have a look at that. Look at the cars they drive, the time they've got, you know, the recognition, the big stages, whatever it is that motivates new people in this business. We all get motivated by different things. But the one common denominator that I have found with anybody that's been successful in this industry is that they've had a very high work ethic. You cannot get away from it. The business is not too good to be true because it takes work. It takes focus, it takes commitment like any other business. When Debbie and I were building the business towards the diamond level, we were doing 30 to 40 marketing presentations a month. And as many follow-ups, going back and getting people started, answering people's questions. Our most productive time was weekends because we had full-time jobs. And so we really multiplied our time over weekends. What do you have to do to start getting a work ethic? The first thing is to learn the marketing plan. Just learn to show the presentation. There are many ways we show the presentation. Because this is a generic international training video, certain countries show the marketing presentation different ways. In Australia, we have a flip chart. We can show the presentation on a laptop. When we started showing the business 13 years ago, we had a whiteboard. And this was my best friend, and this made my dreams come true. And we'd set a whiteboard up in somebody's home, and we start what we call spin the circles. And there are countries today that still do that today. The other way you can show the presentation is one-on-one on a piece of paper. That's how we saw it 13 years ago, sitting down around our coffee table, and someone showed the presentation to us one-on-one. Another way to show people the presentation is take them to an open plan, or what we call a business preview in Australia. Get people exposed to the weekly open or weekly business preview. You can show the presentation on a one-on-one basis, which is how we saw it. You can do what we call group plans, whereby we have group dynamics, leveraging our time. So, for example, there are presentations that I've done with a whiteboard where there's been 50 people in the room. Group dynamics creates momentum, creates energy. If you're new looking at this for the first time, what I'd recommend you do is just do a one-on-one presentation. Just start learning some of the figures. There are some countries where you've got a flip chart, we don't have to learn anything, you just turn the page and talk. The man who shows the plan the most will win. That has never changed in 13 years. It never, ever will. No matter what level of success you're having in this business right now, no matter where you're at, what you're chasing, if you show this marketing presentation more than the person sitting next to you and you keep doing it, it is inevitable, 100% predictable, you are going to make it in this business. But if you don't believe that and you're out there showing the presentation, your work ethic's not going to work for you. You've got to have the right expectancy every time you show that presentation that this business is going to work for you and other people. Your first goal is 8 plans a month. Core. I'll talk about core, what we call core later on, but if you can just do a couple of plans a week and just learn and fall over and pick yourself up and get around some of the big guys that have a higher work ethic, and get around and guys that have really got the freedom and understand that they once started showing this marketing presentation the same way, then you'll get belief that you can do it as well. We have what's called the Silver Eagle Award, which is 15 presentations a month for 3 months. That is a global Network 21 pin. If you're serious and you want this business to work and you want to learn, the fastest way to learn about how to make this business work is to go out and work it. You can only watch your upline for so long. Sooner or later, you've got to take the pen, take responsibility, and you go out and you start treating it as your own business, and you start driving the miles, and you start showing that presentation. And then for the guys that really want momentum, we have what's called a Gold Eagle. That's 30 plans a month for 3 months. Debbie and I did that for 3 years, and that took us to what we call the diamond level. And we just consistently did 30 to 40 plans every month. Traffic, running people past that presentation. But let's not forget, why do we have a work ethic? We had a dream. We knew what we wanted. We believed. We had high expectancy. Nothing was going to stop us. We looked at the alternatives in our life. It's real easy to get a work ethic if you have a look at your bank account, the guy you work for, the car you drive, what time your alarm clock goes off. You've got to sometimes get deep with yourself to get a work ethic. And don't put your head in the sand and just say everything's going to be right, because it's not. Because if you get exposed to the guys that have made it big in this industry, you suddenly realise, man, their lifestyle's a lot better than the lifestyle I'm chasing right now. And that can also help you create that work ethic. And what you want to do in the end is obviously duplicate that work ethic. But it starts with you. It starts with you deciding that you are going to go out there and show that presentation. And then some people are going to come on your team. They're going to come on your team. So here's you. And let's say you're doing 15 plans a month. And you sponsor A, and you sponsor B, and A's doing 15 plans a month, and B's doing 30 plans a month. So you've got 45, you've got 60 plans a month now going on in your business. And you're doing 15. That's called duplication. Now, if you look at our business globally right now, we're probably averaging a minimum of 10,000 plans a night. Okay? All right? But I do remember when Debbie and I started, and we were the only ones that went out and started showing the presentation just a couple of times a month. And doesn't anybody else want to do it? But the key to the work ethic is if you duplicate that work ethic, it is inevitable you're going to create momentum, but somebody's got to start to lead. And if you're watching this video right now, you're watching it because you've decided that you're going to become the leader. You wouldn't be sitting watching this video if you weren't interested in thinking about what are some of the things that I've got to do to make this business work for me and my family, and you're going to need a high work ethic. We go to number 3. Real important. You need to learn to create wits. It's your responsibility to create wits. If you can put 1 to 20 on your front line in 90 days, that's your first goal. You want that wits. Debbie and I put 44 on our front line in less than probably, 18 months, a couple of years. And that took us to the diamond level. But in our first 6 weeks, we put 15. And it created a lot of synergy, a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. And what I've seen over the last 13 years is too many people want their downline to go wide, but they don't go wide. It starts with you. You take responsibility. You decide that you're going to create the wits first to lead your group. You can't lead your group unless you're going wide. I've got here, you've got no posture in depth without width. What do I mean by that? Here's you, and you've sponsored A. And A's the only person that you've sponsored into this business. But you're telling A, you need to get 20 wide. And A knows that you're not doing it. You can't lead A. If you want A's respect, you need to create that width first. It will always come back to you deciding to be the leader first. And we learned through our journey that we got posture. A wanted to follow us when A knew that we had other options. That was very important learning curve for Debbie and I, that we realised A worked the business with a work ethic when A knew that we had B, that we had C, that we had D, that we had E. So we had a different posture when we were working with A because we had options. And we still have those options today, but on a much bigger scale. So you need to ask yourself, do you have enough wits? Are you creating wits, or are you delegating that responsibility in depth, expecting your downline to do it? Or are you doing it first? You want to duplicate wits in depth. If you create that wit first, it will start to duplicate with A, for example, in depth, and you're really going to start building a team, building an organisation, creating momentum, creating energy, creating belief, creating expectancy. I've got here, width creates profitability. The more bonus legs you have, the more money you make. For example, if you sponsor A and A goes 9% and you've got nothing outside A, the money goes to A. You make nothing. A makes it, because A's got some wits. We wanted to know how the money works. I just didn't want to go out working the business, getting a warm, fuzzy feel and not making any money. This may surprise you, but I did get in the business to make money. And I needed to know where the money was. How do these guys get the lifestyle? How do they get the freedom? Where's the money? The first way we identified where the money was the big guys had wits. They had lots of options, lots of money coming in, lots of legs. And so if you're new here, 1 to 20 on your front line in 90 days, and you're going to create some momentum and you're going to get some options. When we went diamond, we had 15 bonus paying legs. We met a diamond 13 years ago that said by the time you get to diamond, you want 15 bonuses being paid out to you. And we have more than that today, but that's what we started with. And so we've got that profitability. We've always had it. We make very good money. It's important you should know that. And that's why I'm talking about it with such passion, is because I know that a lot of people hide from wits. And they want to create width in depth, but you've got to create your own width first. I say you go wide first to create options for depth. What do I mean by that? We talk a lot about depth in this business. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later on. But here's you. And if you want to build depth and get a leg, getting some depth into it, you want to know you're in the right leg. The only way you're going to know if you're in the right leg is if you've got options, other legs to work where you can decide where you have to be. But if this is the only leg you've got, then that's the only leg you'll be in, and it may not be a leg, it may be a stump, it may never grow, the wrong people may be in there, it'll never ever happen. And so we were always opening up new legs to have new options. Just in case this wasn't the right one, we had this one. So you need to go wide first if you really want the financial security of depth in this type of business. Let's talk about number 4, the follow-up. I mean, we've spoken about a dream, we've spoken about a work ethic, we've spoken about creating width. You can't create width. You can't add new people to your front line. You can't get B involved, C involved, and D involved here as new legs. So that would give you 2, 3, 4 legs there. Okay? And leg number 1 here is A. So if you're working this business like Debbie and I were, how can you get A, B and C and D into the business? Because there's more to it than having a dream, showing lots of presentations. You need to be able to go back and follow through with people and answer people's questions. And this is, I'm going to move very quickly through these points and give you examples. But first, before I speak about how do you do a follow-up, I sat back and I thought about when I used to do a lot of follow-ups, what were some of my objectives? What were some of the things that went through my mind to make sure that I could get A, B, C and D on my front line, for example? Before I just charged out there, what did I think about? Number 1, whoever shows the plan does the follow-up. If I'm showing the presentation to you tonight, I'm going to book the follow-up, I'm going to give the information pack, and I'm going to come back and get that information pack. I made sure that I never delegated unless I really had to, because I wanted A on my front line, for example. Okay? Number 2, the number 1 goal when I go back to answer A, B, C or D's questions is to get them to a meeting. That's why I'm going there. I'm going to get my information pack, and my goal is to get them to a meeting. That's really why I'm going back. That is my number 1 goal. If I can register them and have a perfect follow-up, great. But my number 1 goal is I'm going to get them to a meeting. I've got to get them out of their house. They've only met me. They've met a few people. I've got to get them to a bigger meeting, vision. So we can get them to a business preview / open plan. We can get them to a business development seminar / business building seminar, depending what country we're talking about, okay? But I need to get A, B, C, and D exposed to a bigger picture. So that's why I'm going back. That's it. I want to get them to a meeting. Anything else is a bonus at this stage. Now, when I started to understand that, I was much more relaxed. I didn't talk so much. I listened more. I already knew why I was there. I'm going to get them to a meeting. Anything else is a bonus. Because if I don't get them exposed to the meeting, they're not going to do anything anyway. Because they need to see bigger vision, more people like themselves that they can really relate to. The professionalism of the organisation, the professionalism of the system, they need exposure for their attitudes to change. Number 3, I know that when I show the plan to B, for example, I've got to get back to B within 48 hours. If I don't get back to B within 48 hours to get this information, I've got a 50% less chance of B coming into the business with me every day after that. It compounds, 50%. So what you've got to get real good at is understanding that you only have a limited period of time from the moment you show that presentation. What you've got to master is getting back within 48 hours. Is it easy? No, you just got to get good at it. That's the key. The key is not the plan. The key is booking the follow-up and getting back within 48 hours and being very disciplined about it. And very good at being able to get that time slot and get those people to fit in with your schedule. That's what you've got to master. That's how you build a business. That's how you make money. Number 4, you know that when you go back and see A, B, C or D, 1.5 hours maximum and I'm gone. Any longer than that, finished. People don't have enough time as it is today. They don't want you in their house for 4 hours. And depending on how the follow-up's going, I may be gone in 15 minutes. Or I may be there for the maximum of an hour and a half. It all depends. I'm calling the shots. This is my business. I'm working for myself. I know the sort of people I'm looking for. I know when there's serious interest and when there's not. And you've got to decide professionally during that follow-through how much time you're really prepared to go into to try and get A, B, C or D on your team, for example. But what's my goal? If I can get them to a meeting and that can be done real fast and they're committed to that, I'm gone. If I know I've got to do that before we can proceed any further with A coming into the business with me, for example. Because I've only got so much time as well, and I might be better off using my time somewhere else that night, for example. Don't get sucked in of getting a warm, fuzzy feeling being anywhere for too long. If anything, less time. Not more time, less time at the follow-up. Number 5, you want to duplicate, if possible, with an IBO you are working with. What do I mean by that? One of my objectives was, if I was working with A, for example, and A was trying to introduce E into the business, my priority was to go and do the follow-up with E within 48 hours to get my information packed. My priority also was, my objective was to have A there with me. So A's watching me do that follow-up. But if A can't be there, I'm going to be there anyway within 48 hours. But the perfect scenario is A is there with me, watching me answer E's questions for them, and I'm duplicating now. I don't want to be the only person that can do the follow-up. I did not sleep well at night when I knew I was at E's house and A wasn't there. Because I suddenly realised I'm going to have a job. I'm never going to have freedom. I'm going to be the only guy that knows how to do this. I want to duplicate. I want to replace myself. Big objective when we were going diamond. We want to duplicate. Number 6, build a quick relationship. When I'm going to see E, for example, I know I need a quick relationship. I haven't got 5 hours. You've got to get good at getting trust and building a quick relationship fast. You need to learn How to do that? Work on your people skills, work on your personality, do whatever, work on the way you dress, whatever it is. This is a business, it's a profession. You've only got so much time, for example, to go back and answer E's question. Number 7, you want to develop posture and trust. That's an objective for me. For example, if I'm working with going back to see E, I want A to trust me. I want E to trust me. And I also want to have the posture with A for A to want to be on my team, and the posture with E to get E started the right way in the business. That's a big objective if you're going to go and do a follow-up. So you need to think about this. What's my posture like? Am I getting trust? Am I the leader? Are people wanting to follow me? Big objectives. When you're driving to somebody's home, you need to be thinking about these key thoughts and preparing yourself mentally before you go in that you're going to get trust and you're going to have posture. Number 8, the information pack. The reason why we go back and get the information pack is because we want to find out their level of interest. And the only way that we did that was by asking, did you get a chance to listen to the tapes? Very simple. Most times people haven't listened to the tapes, they haven't read the information. It's just an opening line after a quick cup of coffee and building a relationship to find out where are they at. I just need to know where they're at. I need to know that question. And based upon asking that question, they're going to give me some feedback, which then quickly enables me to decide, am I going to be here for 15 minutes or an hour and a half? Real quick. Now I'm going into business mode. I've had my cup of coffee, quiet chat, building a relationship, getting some trust. Now it's down to business. And that question always worked for me and Debbie. Real simple, very easy to duplicate. Straight away you can find out where they're at. Did they listen to the tapes? What their level of interest is? And now I can decide, am I going into a full-blown follow-up here, or am I just going to try and get them to the next meeting? Which means I can get out of there, not bug them, and go do something else. Number 9, don't disagree with their objections. That was always my objective. Being the sort of person I am, I had to learn that one, because some of the objections I used to get used to tick me off. And I'd want to object and say no. Never say no at a follow-up. Say yes, I agree. I understand how you feel. I feel the same way. It works every time. What I mean by works every time, it disarms them. It just takes the heat out of the objection. From there, maybe you can talk a little bit more. But if you start going but, and you're banging heads with the person you're trying to get involved in the business, which at this stage would be E, they're not going to get in. What's my objective? My number 1 objective is to get them to a meeting. I need to agree with everything if I want to get them to a meeting. If I'm having a bit of a tough follow-up. Easy follow-up is when someone says, here's my money, I'm in. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that say I'm not in, I'm not sure, I didn't listen to the tapes. Well, you better agree with everything they say. Very important technique, no matter how wrong you think they are. Number 10, promote the next function. That's my objective. I'm going back there to promote the business preview or the business development seminar, depending, what time of the month it is. Number 11, you want their list. That's my objective. Why am I going to E? I am going to E's place with or without A because I want to know who F is. That's why I'm going there. That's my whole objective. Now, if I've got to get E to a meeting to get that list so I can find out who F is, fine. I don't care what I've got to do. But the reason why we go back and answer people's questions is because we want to get it one deeper. We want depth. We started with A, we want E, we want F, we want G, we want H. We need lists to get depth. Very important objective. And my other objective, things that I used to think about was I knew I had 10 days. I used to work on 10 days. If I do not sponsor E within 10 days, A's out of the business. Did that happen all the time? No, but sometimes it did. But that created a sense of urgency for me because I knew that if I could get E into the business, A was going to be happy. A bit more belief, the business is working, and that's your job as a leader. You are the leader, that's your job. You want to lock A in by getting E involved in the business. If you want E, you better hurry up and get F within 10 days to lock E in. Gives them an energy rush, gives them belief, gives them expectancy. Okay? So they were 12 objectives that when we were going diamond, these were key thoughts for Debbie and I, things we used to think about. Now let's talk about the steps for a positive follow-up. Depending what country you're from watching this video right now, some of these steps can be a little bit different. What I've done is I've done a generic 11 steps here. Real basic. Some of it can be a little bit different depending which country we're from, okay? But if I'm going to go to E's place, number one, I'm just going to go on my diary, nothing else. I've got my diary and I just go on my diary. I don't go on my diary and my tapes and my books and my tickets and everything and freak E out, okay? I just arrive with my diary. Hopefully with A that wants to watch me and duplicate, but otherwise I'm going in my own. I'm not waiting. I just got my diary. It's non-threatening, but it just creates a little bit of business. You know, that they know, yes, this man's come back to talk business, okay? Number two, there it is again. After having a cup of coffee and all that, I pick up the information pack and what do I say? Did you get a chance to listen to the tapes? And away we go. That's going to give me my level of interest and whether I'm there for 15 minutes or an hour and a half. Based upon this, they say, yes, the tapes were great. People say that. We want to join. What's the next step? What do we have to do? So I'm talking about the positive follow-up now, the no-brainer. Number three, you make a list. You want a list of names. You want 50 names. That's your goal. 50 plus, fast. That was always my goal. You want to get people writing, you want to find out who they know. Three types of list: a local list, an out-of-town list, and an international list. People know people not only in the city they live in, but outside the city. For example, E lives in Sydney and F can live in Melbourne. It's possible. It doesn't just have to be Sydney or wherever you locally live. And obviously with the Network 21 system today, we've gone global. And people have offshore income coming in today off lists like this. You never know who somebody else knows, okay? Number four, you scan the list. Get good at scanning the list. What I mean by scan the list, you want to know who's on that list, who you want them to invite to your meeting, not who they want to invite, who you want them to invite. And if there's a real sense of urgency, when you're scanning that list, you may even decide to go and make the phone calls with E to make sure they invite F. Just to make sure. You don't have to do that all the time, but we used to do that. If we had a gut feel that this was a good list and there's some good people here, but you know, maybe E's got a little bit of fear or whatever, you pick that up, then you go and make those calls with E to make sure that F is going to be at their home, or you're doing a one-on-one presentation to F or whatever it is, however you're setting it up. Number five, if you did your job right at the presentation, you should have promoted the tape pack, Network 21 System for Success. You should have promoted it to help people get started. Now, depending what country we're talking about, there's different tape packs, different tape series, but I'm always looking at moving tapes at that follow-up. I want to duplicate. It's very important that if F's the new person joining the business, gets tapes learning about some of the keys to help get them started the right way in the business. You don't have time to teach them that. Let the tapes do that. Number 6, you book 2 meetings. Why do you book 2 meetings? Because if you're going to do 2 meetings for F, maybe when they invite people, some people can't come Tuesday night, but they can come Thursday night. Always book 2 meetings when starting a new IBO in this business like F. Give them a couple of options so when they're making those phone calls, people have options of what meetings they want to attend. Number 7, book into the next open or business preview. Want to get people exposed to a bigger marketing presentation, more people in the room. When new people like F come into that environment, their belief, their expectancy goes up. They see professionalism. They suddenly realise, man, there must be something to this business. Something's happening. Okay, which helps your job if you're working with F. Number 8, you promote and sell the next BBS or business development seminar ticket. You always got tickets in your diary. You're a promoter. You never go to a follow-up without tickets, and if you did your job right, you should have promoted this while you were doing the presentation, which helps you sell that ticket at that follow-up to someone positive like F in this instance. Number 9, you promote the next weekend, the next conference. You always got flyers with you in your diary. If you did your job right, you would have promoted this during the presentation, which means when you go back to do the follow-up, this is not new information for F, and you can leave that flyer with them, and sometimes they may actually buy the whole package. But at least it's not new information to them, because we know if we can get people to the weekend seminar, a big conference like this, with a key international speaker, people make very serious decisions at those types of functions. Number 10, you want to get a product order, 10 to 20 products. In Australia, we have the automatic shopping program, but you want to move products. You want F to get belief in the product because it's their business. It helps them believe in the product, helps them take ownership. And obviously it moves PV, and PV's money. And number 11, the last thing you do is register them as an IBO. It's the last thing you do. Not the first thing, you register them last. You do all the other steps first. Key things here you want to duplicate. If you've got A watching you do all these 11 steps, you're duplicating. You can go home that night and be more excited not about the fact that F joined the business with all these 11 steps, but E or A watched you do it. I'm more excited about that. Because what that means is that F sponsors G over here, and maybe A can go and do that follow-up because you are somewhere else in depth now. You're starting to duplicate because they've seen you do that follow-up. We used to keep the steps inside our diary and we'd just pass it on to the next person. Real simple. So anyone brand new doing the follow-up for the first time could open up their diary. There was their steps, and a 4-year-old could do it and just go through point by point, starting new people, duplicating the right way. Just in closing on the follow-up, a lot of people think the marketing presentation is the key to this business. It's not. It's the follow-up. Diamonds come out of follow-ups, not plans. Because someone had to go back and answer their questions and get them started the right way and move a ticket, move a tape, get them exposed, get them some belief in the product, get them connected to an upline, get them to a business preview, get them to a weekend conference, get them to a business development seminar. Somebody did something before that person like G went big in the business. The night they saw the presentation, they weren't in. Someone went back and answered their questions. So there's got to be a lot of intensity when you're doing the presentation that you're already starting to do the follow-up at the plan. Making sure people are aware of all these things you're going to talk to them about when you go back and answer their questions. So the key is the follow-up, not the plan. Number 5, Network 21 has tapes. Why tapes? New people come into the business and they say, what do I need tapes for? The tapes are too expensive, which they're not, by the way, it's a joke. But they, you know, the people just say, why do I need this information? So let's talk about tapes. Why do we have tapes? Pure duplication. The information on this tape is pure. It's not diluted. If you line 10 people up and you tell the story to this guy number 1, by the time it gets to number 10, it's diluted. It's confused. If you have a leg, if this is you and you've got A working the business, B working the business, C, D, E, and F. So that is 6 levels in depth. Now, that's 6 levels in depth. And if everybody's listening to the same tape, that is pure duplication. That's the power of tapes. And you're a brand new person. Brand new. You've only been in the business 3 months and you've got a leg 6 deep. What can you really teach A, B, C, D, and E, and F? Not much. That's why we need tapes. The experts are on the tapes. That's the next point. What the tapes do is they replace you. You don't want F, E, D, C, B, and A ringing you for advice. It's all on the tapes. That's why we have tapes. So the tape's not only for you to learn, the tape's to free you up. So you're not the expert and you get that pure duplication going into a leg. People learning, A, B, C, D, and F are learning, you're going to get momentum. You're going to get belief. You're going to get expectancy. Cheap information. Next point. It's a joke what you pay for these tapes in Network 21. An absolute joke. You see, it's not how much the tape costs, it's what's on the tape. It's the actual what's on it. And you can listen to it 100 times if you like, but what's that information worth to you if you really want your dreams and goals to come true? And so it's very important if you're leading a group that you start teaching A, B, C, D, E, and F why we have tapes. That's why I'm talking about this point right now. It's not just to move tapes, piece of plastic, and it ain't a big deal. It's a huge deal because it's pure duplication, and it's the fastest way we train people in this organisation is through tapes. Everything's cut live, everything's global, and that's how we build big organisations. Tapes have reach. This tape can be in any city in the world within a week. I can mail it to anybody. Think about that. And they can listen to that tape and they can join me in this business. Tapes have reach. And over the last 10 years of us building the business internationally, we've sent tapes to countries like Malaysia, to Simon Thompson and Diana Chura Diamonds today. We sent tapes to couples like Boris and Bojana Razdakovsky from Slovenia. We sent tapes to a couple in South Africa, Martin and Tracy Hutchins, who are setting up for EDD right now in Johannesburg. We sent tapes to a couple who's setting up for Emerald right now in Stockholm in Sweden, Mats Holmberg and Cecilia Elenius, and we still send tapes to those guys today. They have reach. They don't only listen to me, they listen to the tapes we send them. And those tapes train them and they build those business in those particular countries. We've got a couple going Emerald this month in India, Kushro and Mickey Patel. For the last 2 years, I've been sending that couple tapes every single month. Tapes have reach. And I'm playing golf. Don't underestimate the power of tapes and why we have them. And if you're new listening to watching this video right now, which I believe is an incredible video, by the way, you need to understand that these have reach. They're very powerful. They'll save you time and they'll actually make you money if you change your attitude about why we have them. Tapes leverage your time. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking about one tape right now. What if I had 5 tapes? 5 different people, 5 different cities. Can I be in 5 places at the one time? I'm leveraging my time with tapes. And that's what I do globally. It's what we do globally. It's what we've done in Australia. We understand the leveraging power of these tools. Tapes take the meeting, tapes take G is brand new in the business, and G hasn't been to a meeting yet, but G joins the business, and then G listens to this tape. They're listening to a live meeting. Doesn't that make it easier to get G to the next meeting? Because the meeting's on the tape. Everything's live. Biggest groups move the most tapes. The groups that have the most tape flow grow the fastest. Most purest form of duplication, knowledge, belief, expectancy, fires up the dream, gets people committed. The biggest groups will always move the most tapes. I've got here tapes. They duplicate the right thinking in depth to create momentum. You see, here's G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels in depth. We need G to be thinking the right way. The best way that we can train G 5 levels in depth to think the right way isn't by you having a long conversation with them on the telephone. It's by moving a tape. That's another reason why we have tapes. Because if we can get G thinking the right way, thinking the system, understanding some of these key principles, G is going to become more effective downline from you. That's why we have tapes. And last point, why do we have tapes? Because G is a marketing manager, and I used to be a marketing manager, so give G one of my tapes. But maybe G's an accountant. We'll give them someone that's an accountant. Maybe G's a dentist. We'll then give G a dentist tape. Maybe G's a sportsman. Well, there are big guys in this industry that were athletes that have made it big. Give them that tape. You can match tapes to help G get connected. So we used to have a library of tapes, and we knew exactly what tape to give to who, when. Once we understood a little bit about G, we knew exactly what tapes to give. We'd match them to make sure there was a connection. Because people get more belief when they relate to other people. And that's another reason why we have tapes. Why do we have weekend conferences, and why do we have business development seminars, and why do we have, weekly business previews, weekly opens? Why? Because we want to change people's perception about this business. If you don't get them to a meeting, then they don't get it. They have to see other people. That's why these meetings are so important. The leadership gets recharged. Like I'm doing a leadership meeting tonight, this recharges me. It fires me up. It fires you up. It fires me up. Some meetings are small leadership training meetings like this, and some meetings in Network 21 get to 30, 40,000 people. You get recharged in that too, because of the vision. It just depends what sort of meeting it is. But here's what I've learned after 13 years. Something good always comes out of a meeting. A meeting has never let me down, not once. I've either learned something, somebody's got serious about the business and made a serious decision, I've changed something, I've found a new goal, something great always comes out of a meeting. You get connected to the senior leadership, the line of sponsorship. You start to understand where you fit in this industry, because we all are part of what is called a line of sponsorship, and we want to get connected to the right leaders. Meetings do that for us. Group dynamics, positive environment. That's why we have meetings. The meetings in this industry are positive. They're uplifting. We talk about the dream. We talk about goals. We believe in people. People leave the environment changed. Creates vision. That's why we need meetings. We get vision from meetings. When people get vision, they get committed. They get more belief, more expectancy. They take more ownership of the business. That's why I'm always promoting these functions. I don't try and convince people to build the business. I move tapes and I move tickets. That's all I do. I'm a promoter. That's what I am. I want the function to do the work for me. If I've shown the plan, done a follow-up, and I've done a good job by moving a ticket, then all I can do is sit back now at that function and wait and see what happens. And boy, oh boy, some big things have happened in our business with people over the last 13 years. And it wasn't because they thought I was a great guy. It was what they saw, what they felt, what they heard at the meeting. Nothing to do with me. And something happened in their spirit, and they made a decision, and they're out there today fighting for their dreams. And some of them are making serious, serious money. And was it me? No, the one thing I did well was, look, man, I'd really be going to this seminar, though. I tell you, this Jim Dornan, you want to learn blah, 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 blah. You know, like, trust me, man, trust me. In you go. And then I just wait and see what happens. That's why we have a system. I let the function do the work for me. See, a lot of people have noticed over the years I've become more and more relaxed. Why? Because I've understood more and more the importance of some of these points. Of course. You know, of course I'm free and I'm creating wealth today and all that. Yeah, great. But what I'm saying is I understand if these principles, they don't happen, nothing happens. So I'm relaxed. And I know my best chance is if I've got them into the meeting, I'll just wait now. And I know if I couldn't get them there, there's no point in getting stressed. It ain't going to happen. I've never seen anybody not build this business. Nobody's ever built a business not going to meetings. Just doesn't happen. Maybe you'll be the first. Business rhythm. Function to function. We build the business with a rhythm. We have a weekly business preview, weekly open, weekly. And then, 5 to 6 weeks later, we have a development seminar or BBS. And every 4 months, we have a weekend seminar.